Generic greetings and welcome back once again to Prison Architect and indeed a new series. Today's beverage is a very tangy and also very carbonated cloudy lemonade. So welcome back to the game, and previously we were making the freeform female facility, and the idea of that was to have something that was deliberately a little bit sort of less planned than perhaps we normally get into, and have things a bit scrappy as well as sort of deliberately misaligned, mainly as a palate cleanser to try something different. And it was something different. We also went with some sort of classics early on as well. We had showers, we had yards, we had protective custody from the very beginning. For the most part, I think there was maybe a one in-game day where we didn't have them, but for the most part it was all sorted, and yeah, it was fairly successful. We also didn't go with any green energy or forestry, so money was a problem at the very beginning, but after we got lots of inmates it worked out quite well. Either way, this is going to be again something a bit different, and well, I'm not even too sure whether it's possible. Well, I know it's possible to build, I'm just not too sure whether this is possible to manage after the fact, and whether or not we're going to be flung into our own facility. And the idea is to make something that, I was going to say, doesn't have walls, but that's not true. It's going to have plenty of walls and plenty of fences where necessary. However, what it's not going to have is an external / perimeter wall. Now, you might think, hang on, that's ludicrous, and you would be correct in assuming that. However, I think it is possible, and this was inspired by basically a failure from a long time ago where there was a bit of subsidence and the prisoners saw a way out, but they tried to get out and the snipers managed to stop them, and after a while they just didn't seem to bother leaving. There was the odd escape attempt, but I think it is possible, but we'll give it a go, and the fun is always in finding out. And this is obviously episode 1 where we do some planning, no building, although I'm not opposed to doing some landscaping from the very beginning, but more on that in a moment. Let's go to create new prison, and I'm going to start with the warden, and I'm going to go, because it's going to be focused heavily around snipers, we're going to go with car hide, and that improves the range of snipers and improves the suppression effect of snipers. And because of that, I think I'll also go with the jungle uniform, because why not? In terms of the doggos, we're going to go with, I think we'll go with classic, because why not? So the world size is going to be medium, small, with everything I need. I need a bit of a gap between the last sort of building and the water's edge, because if the inmates get hit and knocked out while in the water, then if they're not shot and killed immediately, they will drown. So yeah, we need to prevent that as much as possible. Fun type, going to go with 50,000, just to give us a bit of breathing room. I probably will go with green energy in this one, but we won't most likely have the room for forestry, although I guess we could surround the entire place. If we're not having a perimeter wall, we could surround it with forestry. Okay, that bears thinking about. Let's go with our plot type. We'll come back to that later. Weather and intensity is off, gangs is off, dynamic reputations is also off. We're not going to have fog of war just to aid in viewability. Failure conditions will go on. That's going to be the main downfall, I think, because if we have too many deaths, then yeah, that failure conditions will activate. Generate forests, yes. We're not going to bother with lakes or buildings. Warden mode, no. Events I'll keep off, and to be honest, the rest of it, oh no, escape plans will turn on. The rest of it will be pretty much as is. We'll turn them all off. Up to the top here, and we're going to go with, do you want to go with tropical fever? No, we got enough on our plate here already. Undead, no. Prisoner aging, why not? There's no reason not to. Gangs I'm going to keep disabled. We'll probably do another one of those sooner rather than later, but not for this time. Weather and intensity and rat infestation is off, and island bound. We are going to go with an island plot, not a connected island plot, an isolated island plot, and I'll most likely go with helicopters very early and get rid of the boat docks, but we'll see how we get on. Dynamic reputations is off. Land expansion we probably don't need with a medium size of map. Criminally insane and prisoner transfer is also off. And let's just see what it's going to generate. And yeah, okay. As much as I would love to attempt the challenge on this map, I'm not too sure that's going to work. Let me regenerate this. Okay, so that is more like it. We still have to connect things up, or do we? Could we have this as the staff-only area and this as the prisoner area? It's probably something we can do, but I think I will connect it up, so we'll see how we get on. Yes, I could previously, on that other one, have managed it eventually, but I really didn't need that in my life at that time. Anyway, let's go ahead, and with the money that we have, I think I'm going to, as I say, I'm going to connect all of this up. So over to flooring and landscaping, and we've got land and we've got grass here, and I'm just going to make just a big square of grass, and that's going to take us down to 14,000 generic units of currency already, so that's a little bit of a downside, but let's just see how we get on. So I'm just going to connect some of this up here like so, and this is going to have this is going to make it so it's a little bit less consistent, because, well, obviously if we have it like we have, well, if we leave it like we did, it's just going to be a bit dodgy. It'll look a bit strange. Anyway, so let's just put some of this stuff in. Interesting that some of this is automatically being placed and some of the others hasn't, but there you go. So as I said, just trying to make this look a little bit less regimented than if we just left it, although, yeah, I don't know how successful I'm being on that front. Let's put a bit in here, a bit here, a bit in here, and there we go. Okay, so that is fine. Let's go over to objects and down at the bottom and dismantle, and then we'll remove all of these. I say all of these, there are 10 trees, and that's fine. I'm probably going to go with green energy very early on just to try and get some money in, but yeah, more on that later. Let's go with rooms and exports, and I'm just going to put some exports in. There will be fine. Okay, so as I said, this is not going to have any sort of perimeter wall, so really we need to set ourselves a bit of a boundary. I'm going to go with fences here, and roughly, I'm going to say roughly sort of 10 from the edge. All right, so that's like our boundary where we can't build sort of past that. So I'm gonna say 10 from there, and then up to say there. The idea is that I think this little bit here I will put green energy on. I can put green energy in the sea, and we have done that in the past, but it has proven to be a bit of a nightmare. Just gaining access to it is the main issue. As I said, the sort of goal is to have no sort of external wall, and we'll sort of surround it with snipers, so anyone trying to escape will hopefully be incapacitated very quickly. So yes, grants wise, we can pick up grants straight away, but they're probably going to be green machine and eco-friendly. Do I do that now? Only use green power sources to power your prison instead of power stations. Green machine. I don't need to do it now. We can leave that for now. So I'm just waiting for the workers to crack on and build all of this stuff. Let me go back to planning here and to the fences, and we'll just sort of run this in. Like I say, it's only a rough guideline, this thing. It's not something we'd have to deliberately stick to. I'm going to say that this area is probably going to be staff only-ish. Let's go with, say, that. And from here, we'll say sort of 10 to there, yeah, 10 to there, over here as well, say about 10, that's well 11, but yeah, as I said, I'm not going to be too bothered about the exact measurements, and there we go. So that is our sort of boundary, so we can build within this area. As I said, I could also put the forestry around the outside, but there's something about that just doesn't sit right at this stage, but that'll probably change when I realise that I've run out of cash. So, yes. Again, like the previous build, this is not going to be over-planned, deliberately so. What I will do is I will plan off pretty meticulously the cell block, and I think the cell block's going to be quite large, and what we'll do is have in things like a yard inside, as well as a... Oh, actually, do we need a yard? Do we actually need one? Well, we do for grants. A yard, minimum 5x5, it needs to be behind at least one door, so we can put it inside. Okay, what I'm thinking is, if we have in, like a sort of rectangle, and then inside that, like a courtyard, and that courtyard will serve as a... It'll serve as a yard, as well as a canteen, I think. Yeah. That's probably what we'll do. Just going to go over to the, the flooring and landscaping, and I'm just going to prioritise the building of this middle section, just so I can get on with the planning here. I'm going to have to do the same on this as well, so I'll just do that. That should be enough for now. I'm not too sure exactly what capacity we'll manage. I don't plan on doing any expansion, and as I said at the start, this is very much a test. You know, will it work? We can definitely build it. Well, I say that, money's already really low, but whether or not we can run it is a completely different story. I think over here we will have the staff area, just because it sort of goes down. Maybe this bit, we have the green energy, so it sort of sits in all right. Anyway, so we'll have a central cell block, and then around the outside, I'll just put general squares and say that's a building, that's a building, that's a, like whatever it is. I don't know, but it'll serve something, and obviously we'll plan it off when we need to. I almost certainly won't have every room in the game. Well, I wasn't going to anyway, but what I mean by that is things like bakery, restaurant, maybe not flower garden, but cage, fight club, cinema, all these we're not probably going to have, same as library. And yes, I think I'm going to make the cells 3x3, and inside I will put things like the bookshelves and toilet, shower, obviously the beds, and we'll also have probably a gym mat and a prayer mat, and then that removes the need for most of the exercise equipment. We might have a common room. We probably will have a common room, but it'll remove the absolute need for that one. So, yes. Anyway, I'm going to start with some building, and I'm going to start with, let's just say, from here. And I'm going to just make 3x3 internals, so there you go. And I'm just going to bring this down. I don't know how many I'm going to have in here. I've already messed it up. Start again. I don't know how many I'm going to have. I maybe have oh, that's too many maybes. Maybe have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. Then a gap so that inmates can get out, and then another 5. Do I want to do that? Will that work? Well, it seems to fit in, doesn't it? And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So I can do that. That is possible. I then maybe have another gap so they can get out there and there, and then build along here. Okay, that sits well with me. Yes. Okay. Let's just work on the premise of this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Gap of 2. And then 1, 2, 3, 5. So it's a big square, not a rectangle. It's a big square. But it's not going to have... Is it going to have 40 inmates in total? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And just open this up. Oh. You see the workers are still cracking on with their building. So like that. And then it was sort of down here, but they obviously haven't built it, so they haven't built all the flooring yet. So I'll just drag this across. And we'll have this. So as I said, inside we'll have things like all of the usual staples, breads, beds. Well, wait, that's wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open that up and then do that. Yeah. Yeah, so it'll have beds, it'll have bread beds, it'll have the toilet, showers, combo, sink, mirror, maybe. Or maybe not, it's easy to break. That's the least of my worries though. And we'll go with this all the way down. Yeah, we'll go with gym mats, prayer mat, maybe, well, definitely bookshelves. Do I put a TV inside? I don't know. But I like the idea of this courtyard thing. That sort of goes quite nicely, I think. And this is obviously very large, so we can have a section here for yard. We can have a section here for eatery, canteen. Common room has to be indoors, I believe, but I'm going to double check. Common room, no, yes, it does. It does, so we can't put it in here. I'm not opposed to putting in another building like that. You know, we can very easily do that. Don't know if we will, but we have provision and space. So, 5, 10, 15, 20, 40 inmates. It's not a lot, but they're almost certainly going to be the high-risk variant. Okay, fine. Believe it or not, there's not much more planning to really do. It's going to be a short episode. Okay, so I do want a staff-only area, and I'll just say that's a staff room. I'm sure I'm going to forget what these rooms are, almost certainly. From the edge, we will have in, like I say, this is going to be 4x4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's your staff quarters. No, officers. I'll have another room here, which is going to be probably security. Alright. And then let's just basically denote, right, we want a building here. We want buildings here, we want buildings here. So this could be split up into, if we want like a mail room. What size is that? 9, 10. Let's make it 10. We could have a mail room. We could have a laundry. We could have a big workshop up here, like that. What are the specifics that I need? Well, I want solitary for sure, so I'm going to put some solitary in. Solitary can go here. So it's very simple solitary. I probably only need 10%. So 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 12, 14. And then on the other side, similar. Well, no, it's 14 in total. There we go. So there's solitary. I think we'll say put a room here. Probably 2 rooms in that one. We need a parole room, which I'm going to have is a bit 5x5, I think. Hang on. Parole. 5x5. That looks 5x5 to me. Indeed it is. How we're going to feed the prisoners? We need in a kitchen. Kitchen can go there. Bit of a gap here, but that's not a problem. Could always extend. I mean, I could probably just do that. That's probably oversized kitchen for the amount of inmates we've got, almost certainly. But I can shrink it down. Again, put another building in here as is necessary. Yeah. Right. I'm going to go through and check the absolute basics. Cells, yes. Holding cells, no. Solitary, yes. Dormitory, no. Canteen is going to go around here. And you can place canteen outdoors, which was a bit of a revelation when I figured that out. Kitchen over here. Showers we're not going to have. Yard, it's going to be around here. So these will have... let me go ahead and go for doors. These will have doors on like this. So technically, there is an area that is walled off. So the yard will... I was going to say function. I think it'll function even when it's erroring out. Even when it's giving you the error. It's just... It's, you know, telling you, you probably shouldn't do this. Yeah, okay. But yes, we can have a yard in there. Storage, somewhere. Deliveries and garbage, we've got. Workshop, we could always have this one, but I'm not too sure. Security is going to go down here. What else? We've got infirmary and a morgue. We don't have that. Let me go ahead and say maybe... Again, I'm going to forget what these are, I'm almost certain. Infirmary and morgue is going to be that. There we go. And let's see, we've got infirmary, morgue, where are we at? We're not going to have a morgue, but we'll have an infirmary. Common room, it'll probably just be one of these. Laundry, similar thing. Visitation, we don't have visitation. I could have visitation all the way along the bottom here. That is actually fine if I was to do something like that. Visitor tables will just go like this, and we'll just run it all the way along. And it sits in quite nicely. That's far too large considering the amount of inmates we're going to have. Yeah, I think we'll just have something like that. Have a way in there, and then you can have just a line of things. Actually, wait, visitation, minimum size? No minimum size, we're all good. We haven't got a reception, so I will put it in maybe here. This is where the helipad's going to go, around this area. That's far too small for a reception, isn't it? Reception, there's no minimum size. That would actually technically work. I think I'll put the helipads maybe... Well, I've got a bit of space over here. So, maybe... helipad. Yeah, this area I'm probably going to keep as all the storage and stuff. Like I said, the boat dock we're going to shift. And I'm not worried about the helipad being on the corner, by the way, because when inmates come that way, they've already got handcuffs on, so they can't swim, they can't go out. Where were we? So, visitation, yes. Cleaning cupboard, haven't planned it. It can be as small as you like. It can go anywhere. Kennel and armory, that's something we don't have. I do need both, really. I'm probably going to put them, say, this corner. Maybe. Kennel and armory. The problem with that is it's not giving us this space around. Okay. I'm going to have to... I think I'm going to have to build them around here. Let's say this is a staff-only area. Well, it's not a staff-only area. It doesn't have anything, really. That's far too small. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a bit more landscaping. Even though it's going to cost me a fair bit. Let's go with sand. And I'm going to expand like this. And it's actually free by the look of it. So that's much better. That's great. Right. So... I mean, I don't know about building foundations on sand. I can't imagine it would be overly beneficial for everybody involved. Well, maybe the budget, but not much else. So that could be kennel armory. Actually, we don't even need the armory that big. The armory could be the bottom one. Okay. Where were we? We were on kennel armory, yes. Staff room, yes. We've got planned. Library, if we do have one, it'll be over here, but I don't think we're going to bother. Forestry, again, if we do, it'll probably just go around the outside. Classroom, it'll be... I keep saying one of these three, but those have been earmarked about 50 times for other things. Chapel, probably not going to bother with. Parole, we've got one. Reception, we've planned it. Mail room... Shop is probably one that we want. Gymnasium, that would be of some benefit, because there's not much... exercise stuff around here. Oh no, could go in the middle. And then basically all this bottom stuff we don't need to bother with. We're not bothering with cinemas or fight clubs, graveyards, cages, training room. If we have one, I'll fit it in somewhere. Flower garden's an easy one. We can just shove it there. Although I think I do want another building like that, because why not? And that sort of mirrors with this one. Pantry we don't need because we're not going to have any orchards and allotments or anything like that. Yeah. Well, as rough and ready as this is, I think it accomplished the original goal, which was to have a facility without an external wall and this sort of big compound in the middle. Okay, a bit different from what the route we usually go down, but I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily. I'll go with sand on that area there. That's good. I can just fill some of this in if need be. Like I say, I'm not opposed to building extra bits on the ground. In fact, I'll probably do somewhat around here actually, like that. Or just sort of gives a bit more breathing room, like that. So that's sand there. They build that sand, but don't build that sand. Oh no, they're not. I don't know what's happened there. How weird. Dismantle that tree, because for some reason they haven't. And yes, okay, so the idea is to have a facility without an external wall. Will it work? I have no idea. I have done some... I was going to say I've done some testing in the past. No, I've not done some testing in the past. Testing has been done on me in the past. Well, that's a topic for a different time. But yes, we have got this thing in. And was there a bit of water there? I thought I saw a bit of water. Yeah, as I said, I've had the game test me in the past where it was an island and there was a bit of subsidence on like the top right corner of the facility. I think it might have been Reform Island. No, I think it was the one before that. Anyway, no, it might have been Reform Island rather than Work Island. It was an island, and there was some subsidence on one corner, and a few of the inmates tried to get out, and the snipers managed to stop them, which was fine. And then I didn't basically repair it. I just left it. In fact, I actually knocked down a huge section, and there was only 4 snipers, and inmates were literally, if this was the canteen, and there was the edge, they were literally coming down this corridor here, seeing freedom and going, nah, I'm hungry, and then going in here and then leaving. And obviously you would have the odd prisoner who has decided, yes, I am going to try and get out, but they managed to stop them, the snipers. And obviously we still had guards around, so as soon as they try to escape, that's classed as a misbehaviour, and the guards will try and stop them anyway. So with tasers and armed guards and stuff, hopefully this will work. Is there any point in doing this? Absolutely not, but that's not that's not the reason, obviously, for the video. It's for entertainment purposes. It's more of a case of can we do it rather than should we do it. Either way, that's been a bit of Prison Architect, a bit, as I said, unplanned, but hopefully you get the idea, and hopefully the idea excites you. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. Either way, next episode we'll start building, we'll put some green energy in, we'll get some grants, and we'll go with staff only and focus on some of that. Either way, I hope you have enjoyed it, and comments, definitely in the comments on this one. Hope you have enjoyed it. Thanks very much for watching, take care, and generic partings.